Oh,
Yo, what's good, man? This is Easy Child Podcast, which one and only host, Glory Boy, back here with another special episode with our special guest in the house. She will introduce herself, but before she does that, I want you guys to do what you always do. If you haven't done this, so go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. The more you do that, the more guests I'll continue to bring on this show, and we can continue to grow together. Yeah, and I'm gonna let the guest introduce herself. So tell us your name and we can start.
my name is Ameerah Mootry.
Mary Mootry, nice to
Yes,
meet you again.
nice to meet
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, so before we even start this, I want to let you guys know exactly what we're gonna be talking about. So Amira here is a single mother. She has one child, and we're gonna be talking about just motherhood for single mothers, because a lot of times in society, uh, we can't forget about the single mothers because they're going through a lot. They're raising a kid by themselves, but at the end of the day, we have to keep them in mind because that keeps them going. At the end of the day, keeps them going to continue to thrive and raise that kid to become something important in life someday. So yeah, so today is just we're just gonna talk about just single motherhood because it's Mother's Day. Unfortunately, happy Mother's Day to
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, so I want to start off by kind of like just having people get to know a little bit, just a little about yourself. What is your background and
Okay. I was born in Texas, Fort Worth, Texas. I moved to Buffalo when I was about like 10. My mother was a single mom of 6 kids. She struggled a bit here raising us. I want to say like third grade, that's when I had like my first house fire. And from there, it,
wait, was
re-
the house fire in
it
Buffalo?
was in Buffalo, yeah. It was on Minnesota. And we lost everything.
Damn.
And from there, like, that's when my mom really was struggling with us. My grandmother did help us at the time, but it was still hard. We was living out of like hotels and stuff like that, getting food vouchers and things like that. And we stayed like all the way out in transit. So like I had to travel all the way to like the east side to go to school, so I would be late to school. Um, as we got older, eventually it got better. She had 6 of us, so my two, my oldest brother and my sister, they got like jobs at McDonald's, so they started at a young age helping my mother. Um, Me, I just stayed at home with the other kids and did my own thing. Um,
That was about it.
yeah,
That's great. But like,
yeah.
I want us to take us back to the house fire because
Okay.
I want to know like, did you guys find out what really started that fire?
Yeah, it was it was a grease fire, so like a stove fire or whatever. I was outside actually playing with my little sister, so I wasn't inside when it happened. I just know that my mom just came running out the house with my brothers and sisters, and we couldn't do nothing. Like the fire spread super fast, so as long like we were just happy that we all got out. And then I got sent away. My mom didn't want us to see it, so she just sent us off like with a friend or something.
Yeah, because imagine you're watching your house burn down.
Yeah,
A
couldn't
house
get
that you're
anything.
growing in, like couldn't get your video games, your
No,
dolls, because you're
no.
still young. Oh my god, my favorite doll! Like my favorite doll is going to waste, man. But yeah, that's crazy. How did your mother? Because you said she was having a hard time toward that time. Like when you looked at her, dealing with all the struggle, like how did she manage to show her strength to her kids?
uh, just by showing up, constantly showing up. Like I said, it was 6 of us, so just that being consistent. Whether she lost a job or not, but just the fact that she kept a job,
Right.
kept a roof over our heads and things like that. I guess like what really stuck out was just her trying to be more independent and not trying to depend on people.
Right. Yeah, because a lot of times
Because
that's when you need people.
Well,
That's when a lot of
yeah,
people don't even show up for you too.
yeah, it's that. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people they act like they there, but then when something happens, yeah, that's when you really see who is in your corner and who's not. And during that time, it was really just us, her kids, and my grandmother and my grandfather.
Right. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. I want to ask you also, like you mentioned, your mother was a single mother.
Mhm.
Were you born at the time she was a single
No,
mother? Okay.
no,
Did she ever like tell you guys like how that happened?
well, yeah. So back when I was in Texas, my mom was actually married to my father
Okay.
when she had me and my other sister. That I'm 30, and my sister that's younger than me is 28. So
Okay.
she was married when she had us two. I want to say around 2005.
Okay.
That's when we left Texas. She just got up and left. So my dad was kind of I was young, so I didn't know. But from the stories of my mom and my brother and sister, my dad was verbally abusive.
Mm.
And I guess he was in the military. He took a lot of anger out on my older brother, like physically and verbally. And my mom, she wasn't feeling that. So she packed up everything, took her four kids at the time, four of us, and left.
Damn.
From there, we moved to Tallahassee, Florida, and then from there, we moved to South Carolina, and then we finally
Yeah,
made it
because
to
I know like
Buffalo.
a lot of single mothers when they're running away from, let me say, an abusive relationship,
Hmm.
they it's harder for them to run away at first. So like that's why you said like you guys had to go from one state to the next. So you had to just switch different area codes to
Yeah.
kind of confuse them. Was he in
Hmm.
the military at the time your mother took off?
No,
Okay.
no. I think he was just working. Like he drives the trucks or something like that. He's
Oh,
a
so
truck
the
driver. So
time
I
that he
think he
left.
was. Yeah, he wasn't at the house.
Okay.
So he was working. She just got up and left.
You
He
know,
did follow us though. He
damn.
he did follow us. My dad came to visit us when we was in Buffalo.
Oh, he came to
Mhm.
visit. Okay. I mean, because you guys ran away from him. Did he
My mom
understand?
ran away.
You
We
went with
didn't
your
have a choice.
but there's always the one kid that usually say, I want to stay with my dad. Did y'all ever even like
I
cry
don't
for
know.
your dad?
I don't know who it was. It
Okay.
might have been me. It could have
Okay.
been me. I was a little baby, so I could have wanted to stay. But
Right. That's crazy. And also like when your mom ran away and your father found out,
mm,
what was his reaction in that moment?
uh, just he was remarried actually.
Oh, like
Yeah,
instantly?
yeah. When he came to visit us in Buffalo, he had a wife.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a wife. His initial reaction was just happy. He was just happy to see us. He was just happy to see us. My grandmother though, and my mom, and like my uncles and everything, like on my mom's side, they wasn't really a fan of it.
Mm.
But we were a little older, and we're like, we do want to see our dad. Like we don't know, we don't really understand what was going on. We still want to see him. So they allowed us to see him. They just watched,
Wow.
chaperoned.
I mean, you can't deny a child from seeing their father.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at that point, once you're grown and you're mature, if they do that, then you may see that maybe your father was not the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's what happens. So now let's shift towards you.
Okay.
You know, tell us a little bit about just growing up and reaching the age of now you have self conscious, like you understand exactly what's going on like around
Okay, well, when I was younger, I guess due to everything that went on, my mom did shelter me. She did shelter me, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why I was just so shy and had like low self esteem, not a lot of confidence. Um, she just was scared for me to go outside, like, or have like certain friends. I remember I would have certain friends, she would not like them. I couldn't hang out with them outside of school or whatever, just a phone thing or social media. So I did like rebel a little bit, but not nothing too crazy. Just like sneak out the house, like normal stuff, go to like house parties or just not listen to her and go hang out with the friends that she didn't want me to hang out with. But getting as I got older and having a child at a young age, I was 19 when I had my son. Um, I wouldn't say that it made me grow up faster, but it helped me mature
Okay.
um, and become more open and affectionate also because I just
You love your son so much.
yeah, I love my
I see
son
you
so
always
much.
you
Of
always
course,
posting
yeah,
your son every time, like, oh my
yeah,
god, it's my
yeah. Yeah. Once I had him, like I did definitely change a lot. Like I
yes.
just was, I expressed love more.
Right.
Um, I was just more confident, and my family supported me a lot. Like I was young when I had him, but I didn't struggle.
Was you in college at that time?
I was in college. I went
Okay.
to Villa Maria College, and then I
Okay.
went to ECC North.
Because I know a lot of women when they have a kid at such a young age, they end up dropping out of school. Did you decide doing that
I decided to go to school after I had
after you had him?
him.
That's dope. I mean, you still continue. That's what matters. But I want to ask you though. Uh, let's go back to your childhood. You mentioned that you used to sneak out the house and everything. But like, I like to ask, did you ever like experience daddy issues? Like not having a father
Yeah,
present and all that, it made you actually become the way you became, like sneaking out the house, hanging out with people that
yeah,
just to kind of like hide your trauma, insecurity and stuff like that.
yeah. I would say like mostly for anybody without a parent like has abandonment issues. I would say for one. Another thing is just figuring out. I guess when it comes to boys dating and things like that, I mean, if my dad was in my present in my life, I'm pretty sure that I wouldn't have made a lot of mistakes with that. Like, not mistakes, because I do want to say like I probably wouldn't have had a kid at a young age if my father was in my life, but just I just craved like that love from a man.
What you say that though? Like what things that your father would have done to
I just feel like
kind
he
of
would have
help you
just.
not have a kid at such a young age?
I would have just been more focused on other things in my life. Um, like more focused on my career, more focused on like self development, self love, like just things, self growth, like things for myself instead of out here looking for like this unconditional love or just it was just something that was empty, like something that was missing. Like a father's love is needed and it's
Right,
different from a mother's love.
right. Yeah, I wanna ask you this. So when you first got pregnant, were you in a relationship with the guy that got you pregnant?
Yes.
How was that relationship? Just with y'all two, how did y'all meet?
We met in high school.
Okay, so
We
it was high school sweethearts.
well, no, we started off as friends.
Okay,
We were just friends because they were actually in a relationship in high school, and I respected that. We just were friends. It was I want to say like senior year in high school.
okay,
He was single, and so we just started talking even more. And then when I went to after I graduated high school, I went to college. That's when he actually asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes. We started dating, and everything was fine. Like we were in love, I would say. Everything was fine until I got pregnant.
okay,
Like, I never really wanted kids. Like back then, I never wanted kids, or at least not at that age. I was just too worried about my freedom being taken away. And a kid is a lot. It's a lot of responsibility. That's another person that
it
you have
is a
to take
lot.
care of.
It is a lot. But how
Um,
did you break it to? How did you break it down like to him? Because a lot of times you may sleep with someone. I don't know. I've never gotten anybody pregnant, but like you may sleep with someone and then later on they will come to you with the news such as like you got me pregnant. Like how did you break that news to him?
so I I knew I was pregnant like the next day
What?
for some reason. I know it might sound weird, but I knew my body, like my body didn't, it felt weird. So
Like the next day?
we practice, yes, we practiced safe sex. Like we wasn't trying to get pregnant or nothing like that. It was one night, it was around like Halloween. His uncle was having a birthday party and we were drinking and was drunk and we ended up doing something. And the next day, like the next morning, I woke up, I went to the bathroom and I threw up. And I'm like, okay, it's too early. I'm not just gonna
I mean,
assume
wasn't that
that I
like
was pregnant, but
hangover
like
from alcohol or no?
it could have been, but I don't think I wasn't that drunk.
Okay.
I wasn't that drunk. I know what a hangover feels like, but it was just something about my body that felt weird. I gave it a week. I asked my best friend Jasmine to buy me a pregnancy test. I didn't tell anybody, just her. I took it and it was positive. I told my friend Jasmine, the one who bought me the test. I told my younger sister, the one that's 28. Her name is Aaliyah. And then that's when I told Bobby, is his name. Then that's when I told Bobby, Ace's dad. Um, he, I just told him like, hey, I took a test and I'm pregnant. His reaction was just, it was just normal, I would say. But he did express to me that he didn't want a kid.
Okay.
He didn't want a kid. He didn't want a child. But it was up to me because it's my body. That's what he told me.
Right. And I mean, I respect that for him giving you that choice, but he has to be responsible as well.
Yeah.
He made that decision to lay in bed with you.
Mm-hmm.
But like I want to also ask you like when at that moment you found out you was pregnant, did
Mm-hmm.
anything such as doing an abortion cross your mind?
No,
Okay, why is that?
because when I was like 15 or something like that, and I was having a conversation with my mom, and um, she, it was about like sex or whatever. I wasn't having sex at the time, but still, she was just like, if you out here having sex and you have a kid, like you keep it. That's your responsibility. You know what you was doing,
Right.
basically. So like that just stuck with me. So even though I wasn't trying to have a kid and I was practicing safe sex, it was like, dang, how it happened. Like maybe it was meant to be, maybe not. I don't know. But I said that if I ever got pregnant, that I would keep my kid.
Okay. Yeah, I respect that. I mean, you made that decision. And shout out to your mom for telling you that because a lot of times, man, you make that mistake, you have to own up for it.
Yeah.
You did that. And at 19, you was mature. You knew what was right and wrong.
Definitely.
You knew what was right and wrong. But
Yeah.
also, like, so when Bobby
Hmm.
found out that you had a kid, was he like at least somehow present in your life, checking up on you, making sure everything was
Yeah.
going smooth?
Yeah. Like when I was pregnant and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. He stuck around. Like he stuck around the whole pregnancy. Like he supported me and whatnot. He just he just didn't want to have a kid. He didn't tell his mom.
Okay.
He didn't tell his dad. Like he didn't tell anybody until it was like a week before our baby shower. Yeah.
Oh,
I took a while
man.
to tell. I took like 3-4 months to tell my mom and my sister and stuff like that.
She
Because
never found out?
I was a little scared. No, because I was staying with Bobby at the time. I was staying with Bobby and his mom. And you couldn't really tell. I'm small too, so like 3 months, 4 months pregnant, you can't tell. My stomach is like it's
Right.
not that big, but
Damn.
eventually it was gonna get big.
Right.
So I just had to put all that scariness to the side, and I told my mom. I was really just scared to tell her because I didn't know how she was gonna react. To be honest, I didn't want her to be like disappointed in me or whatever, whatever. But she wasn't. It was the opposite.
Right.
And I felt so much better that like after I told her, and And I wish I would have told her as soon as it happened.
Yeah, because she would have been there from the get go,
Yeah,
like
she would have been there from the beginning.
actually
Yeah.
giving you some advice on how to, you know, have like a, how can you say, healthy pregnancy,
Yeah.
stuff like that. She's had how many kids? Six.
Six, right.
So she's an expert at that
she,
time.
she is.
She's an
Yeah, she
expert.
is.
But and then like with Bobby, so like by the time you reached 9 months, you had
Mhm.
your kid. How did you feel? Because a lot of women after pregnancy they have the what's that, postpartum
Oh yeah, postpartum depression.
postpartum depression and stuff like that,
Not
because
everyone, but
either
yeah.
some people were there for them, not there for
Hmm.
them, they were going through some stuff. How was that for you, like just after having that child?
Um, I was fine.
Okay.
Like even during my pregnancy. During my pregnancy, I was fine. I was very healthy. I was working out. I was going to my childbirth classes, doing a lot of research on like breastfeeding and things like that because that's what I wanted to do. So after I had Asa, it was nice. It was like it was just something new, like a new love, like I never felt before. So it was beautiful for me. And I breastfed. I did go back to work after 6 weeks, and Bobby actually stayed at the house for probably like the first month or two or whatever. And I ended up getting him a job where I was working at. Um, Postpartum depression, though. I I mean, I did become a little overwhelmed at times when when he would just be crying and things like that, and I couldn't figure out like what the hell is wrong with him. Like
Right.
I changed your diaper, I fed you, I did all that I could. Like what's going on? Like I would become overwhelmed and things like that, but not to the point to where I got depressed. But I also, like I said, I had support, and I could just ask my mom or my sister or
Right.
somebody if I needed a break, so I wouldn't get to that point. But a funny story though, Bobby and his mother, I don't know what was wrong with them, but they came and picked me up one day, and I'm like, where are we going? They didn't tell me, so we end up at ECMC. I'm like, okay, I'm walking in with them. I'm going to the front desk or whatever. They get to the front desk. They're like, she needs to be seen or whatever. I think she has postpartum depression. And I'm like, well, excuse the hell
They're
out of me.
diagnosing you like
This
crazy.
is news to me.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'll do, I'll, I'll talk to the little doctor or whatever. So I got seen by the doctor. He asked me a multitude of questions, but just based on my answers and my body language and how I was, he said, I'm fine. You're fine. It doesn't seem like you have postpartum depression, but it does seem like Bobby has postpartum depression. So he was the
How
one that
can a
was
man have that
he
though?
was
Like,
going through something. How can a
can
man
a
have
man
that?
have
Yeah, a
that?
man can have that.
I
It's
mean,
their
that,
baby too.
but they wasn't carrying the baby for 9 months.
It wasn't carrying the baby for 9
Oh, they
months.
was carrying
but
the baby in here for 9 months.
They wasn't carrying a baby for 9 months, but they still have effects.
So like, how was Bobby acting in that case?
Um, to be honest, he was acting like Asa didn't exist, and that's when it became a problem for me. It was just like me and him in a relationship, and Asa is just not here. So he just would still want to do things with me. I would mention anytime I would mention like doing stuff with Asa or co-parenting, just anything. It's just like a no, an argument, or I'm being controlling. I'm reminding him of his mom, like things like that. So after a while, I had made the decision to break it off.
Was it a hard decision to make?
Yeah. At first, I was just like, we could just take a break. We could take a break because I see that this is really stressing you out,
Right.
and you feel like your freedom is being taken away. And um, I'm just asking you to, get a job, maybe go back to school, or let's what was a goal that we had? It was let's get our license together. let's get an apartment, like things like that. He felt as though like I was being controlling, but I wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of times, a lot of men don't really accept certain things like that. The reason why is because then you make him feel less of a man.
Mm.
When you're a woman actually telling a man that he has to get a job to
Okay,
provide.
how was
No,
that?
no, no, no. That was a good thing that you were doing that because
Okay.
you actually was trying to raise a kid with
Mm-hmm.
him.
Mm-hmm.
But some men do take that as an offense. Like it kind of like triggers them. Like, damn, like who she telling to go get a job? Like, I'm the man. Like,
Yeah.
I should be the one telling her. So I feel like that's why he kind of felt like it was controlling. He kind of felt like you was treating him like you his mother.
Probably. Yeah.
Maybe that's why he kept mentioning like, "Oh, you sound just like
Yeah.
my mom" and stuff like that. That's crazy though. That's crazy. But
Yeah.
like, then you became a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that experience. I
Okay.
want to ask you this question before we get deeper into it. But like, how does being a single mother feel, and how did it feel from the get go?
How does it feel now?
Like
Like
before,
versus.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
Sorry, yep. The get
Um,
go. How did it feel?
when I first became a single mom, I was sad. I felt sad because I never really would have expected for my son to grow up without a father or without both parents present, like how I did and like how Bobby did. So I was sad, more disappointed at first, but then again, I had the support of my family or whatever, so like I didn't really feel too down. Like I was able to still go out, have fun, get a job, and live live my live in my 20s, live my young little 20s or whatever. Um, right now, I am proud of myself to see what type of child I raised. So like every day I wake up and I see Asa, how he talks to me, how he treats me, and how he is with himself, with his friends at school, with his aunts and uncles. I'm very proud of myself. So as a single mom, I am proud of myself. But at times I also feel lonely
Right.
or feel alone, without the presence of a male figure, because there are certain things and there will be things that I cannot teach him as a woman.
Right. When you became a single mother, did it feel like you was repeating a cycle? Did it feel like like a curse? Because you was raised without a father,
Yeah.
and now your son is being raised
Yes.
without a
Yes.
father.
So it definitely felt like a cycle, and
Right.
that's why I just really just felt just disappointed because I didn't want that.
How did you break it down to your son that your
Um.
father is not around? That he's
So so the real reason why his father isn't around, because when Asa was 2 years old, his father developed a mental illness, schizophrenia. So at the time, my son was very intelligent at 2, so he did understand some things. I just told him that his dad was sick, and as he got older, I just explained it to him more in depth
so he
about
didn't
his
so
sickness.
he didn't leave you then. He developed
No, he
an
didn't. He
illness.
didn't leave. Like he was still in his life, kinda. Like at first, in the beginning, he was still able to go and spend time with his dad. Um, like go over his grandmother's house and like spend time with him, and we were able to co-parent a little bit.
Mm.
But then after a year or so, because so Bobby's story is that he got laced or something like
Okay.
that, and that's what like triggered it. But it is hereditary and genetic,
Mm.
so it was triggered, I guess, by whatever he was laced with.
Okay.
So, like after a year or so, that's when the symptoms just became more clear.
Right.
Now you can see like, okay, it is something wrong with him.
Mm.
Like he can't keep a job. He's into drugs now, like cigarettes, black and mouths. He's drinking a lot. Now he's an alcoholic or whatever. Um, Now he's living on the street. Like it just gradually got worse and worse and worse and worse to the point to where it was just about like Ace's safety. Now he can't spend time with him. He can't see him. So like as of today, no, he's no longer present in his life.
Damn.
Um,
How does Issa look at it? I mean, because when you send your son off to school and some kids arrive with their parents, especially their dads, how does your son kind of handle that situation though?
well, he's pretty. When his dad was first absent in his life, I put him in counseling. I did put my son in
At a
counseling.
young age?
Yes, three,
Okay.
4 years old. I put him in counseling because I didn't want it to affect him. And like I said, that's hereditary. And when he gets older, I don't want it triggering him or anything like that. But he does express to me sometimes that he is ready for a male figure. He says that to me sometimes.
Hey mom, when you gonna have a man?
Yeah, he doesn't say it like that, but he just be like, Mom, I'm ready for, a father or whatever. And it's just like, me too, you know. But he's pretty good. Like he has
Right.
uncles, he has other male figures in his life, but like his grandfather, his dad's father, he steps up recently. Most recently, I would say he stepped up because he knows the situation. And not to get off topic, but like just this Tuesday,
Right.
um, Bobby was found at the Amherst station unresponsive
Damn.
for 8 minutes. He was dead.
It did
They
for
had
the
to do
8 minutes.
CPR. He was resuscitated. He was brought to Buffalo General, where he was put in ICU. He had a tube in his mouth or down his throat or whatever. I don't know. I know like he's better now. He doesn't have the tube. He's speaking. He's awake. He's alert. But like I didn't even tell my son that because it's just like we just been through a lot these past couple years, and since it was nothing really wrong with him, and since he's okay, I just felt like I didn't have to break that news to him. But it did affect me. I didn't even go to the hospital to see him
Mm.
because I can't handle it.
Yeah, because I mean that's crazy. I mean you're watching a man that should be strong enough to actually empower your son,
Mm-hmm.
actually in his weakest position ever.
Mm-hmm.
That breaks hearts, man. Like that's crazy. But like let's so like because a lot of kids when they don't have their fathers around, especially boys,
Yeah.
they act a certain way. They become very insecure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you can see that they're not, you know, showing their masculine traits.
Right.
Because he's basically being raised by a woman.
Yeah.
But like, how do you kind of like insert those kind of masculine trait within him and make him understand that you are a man? You should be acting this way. You should be very confident and brave. How do you do that?
Um. so okay. So when I'm not like nurturing him and like being like, come on, like he my baby or whatever,
Right.
like I do try to be firm in some ways, like just with him just keeping up with his appearance, for example, like
Right.
making sure you look good, you smell good, keeping up with your room, keeping your room tidy. I signed him up for this all boys mentorship program. He goes there once a month, and from there they teach him like leadership, teamwork. They do fitness, and it's all boys. So he's interacting with boys of different ages and grown men and things like that. Um, I put him in sports. You know, I let him talk to his guy friends on the phone and they play the game. And I encourage him and I encourage my older brother and my younger brother, which are his uncles, to do activities with him. Take him to do male things.
Right.
At the house, I have him like take out the garbage, you know,
Okay.
like stuff like that.
Has he ever experienced like bullying because of his father not being around him?
No,
Okay,
but
that's
he
good.
has experienced a little racism.
Okay. How do you kind of like shield him and, give him some sort of strength? Because, he may come across people that may bully him for not having his father around, because there's some kids that are actually bad. There's some kids that will make another kid feel bad for not having a father figure in their lives. But like, what do you tell him when he goes out to school?
I tell him to stay true to himself. Like always be authentic and make sure that you have a voice for yourself and speak up. Um, I feel like his voice, you know, in his mind, how he feels about himself and what he believes in is his strengths. And
Right.
I tell him every day to utilize those things. And I remind him every day that he's a leader, he's a king, you know, he's smart, you know, he could be whatever he want to be.
Right. And your story is so different from some women, most women. But like in terms of like having two parents in the house, what would you say about that? Like what's the importance? And also being a single mother, it's tough. It's hard.
The importance of having a two parent household for
Right.
me would be so kids in general can see how a woman is supposed to be loved and how a man is supposed to be loved. Um, the different roles that are upheld in the household, like a man being a provider or a protector and the mom being a nurturer or whatever rules or whatever they, you know, whatever each household has. Every household is different. But to me, a two parent household that's important.
Mm,
You want to show your kids those things.
right.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'd say I'm grateful enough to be raised by two parents, and sometimes I like to. That's why, like, sometimes when I look at people that have one parent, I never like kind of like put them down because everybody have different stories, different life stories,
yeah.
or grew up in different environment.
Hmm.
You know, I never really saw single mothers really until I got to America. In Africa, I may say maybe one or two
Yeah.
in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
and probably they're just a widow. Their husbands
Yeah.
passed away, so they're just there raising their kids. When I came here, I'm like, man, why is so many single mothers?
It's dysfunctional families.
You
That's
know,
that's what it is.
but I feel like things are starting to change though. A lot of women are actually starting to realize that, man, like we really need these men in our lives, and a lot of men are starting to say, man, we need these women in our
Hmm.
lives, or we need to build that family.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But why do you think it's like that in America? Like, what do they teach? Like, what do you guys? Because when I came here, I started seeing a lot of single moms and single dads. But like, what were you guys witnessing just growing up in the neighborhood?
Um, like with the I guess growing up, I grew up on the east side, like Langfield,
Right,
whatever that's the hood. So on Bailey, the police station is over there. I don't know if you're familiar with the area. Fast Track is over there.
right,
So I grew up over there. I mean, I seen a lot of violence, you know, like just a lot of black on black crimes and things like that. But me personally, none of that really affected me because I didn't put myself in those environments. Like, even though certain things are around you, like, you don't necessarily have to put yourself in those situations.
Right.
So I wouldn't really say my environment affected me because I chose to change my environment, you know. Like instead of sitting in a house or being in, I would go to the library. I would go to the library, read a book, be on the computer or something like that instead of
So you was a
being over
nerd.
there.
You was, you know, that's good. It's good to be a
Uh,
nerd. Stay
but
out of trouble.
I don't know. A lot of the dysfunctional families. I mean, it comes from just comes from the history. To be honest, it is our generational curses or whatever you want to say. But how can I explain it? Like until women start to realize like the power that we really have, and what I mean by that is that it could be more two-parent households if more women would know their role, I would say. And growing up without a two-parent household, it's hard for us to learn that until we get older and we want a family of our own, we want to settle down. It's only then we start noticing these things.
Right. I mean, that's crazy. You're right because a lot of people start realizing that when it's too late.
Yeah. But I feel like that's just a lot of African Americans though.
But
Because
I
if I
feel
look at
right.
white people or Indian people, Chinese people or whatever, Arabian people, like they have that family. Like they
Yeah.
have family.
Because most women, I mean, because those people, some of them, they get like arranged marriages. For the white
Yeah.
people, they choose, men
For
that
the
respect them
hmm
and that are good to them.
I think it's the dads. It's the dads telling the daughters like, listen, go to school, get this, get that, or whatever. Find you a husband,
Yeah.
and that's what they do. That's what
But
they go out
within
there
our
and do.
community, I think one thing that really creates those dysfunctional families is basically women tend to choose wrong men. That one
Yeah,
example is
I
when I
agree.
was actually in high school. When I was in high school, there was a lot of girls, beautiful girls, but there was some guys that actually would approach them and they would dub them. They would go towards this guy, but that guy was really in the streets and doing other things. And then
Yeah,
later on, fast forward, I saw some of the girls actually are single mothers pushing the stroller by themselves, and right, it's sad. And I'm like, man, you could have just gave the other guy a chance, and you went with this guy, and look what he did. Like he
yeah.
left you. So some women just choose wrong men.
They choose the wrong men because they don't know no better. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean
they
some.
don't really know no better, or it's a lack of self worth, self love. You don't really know yourself or what you want,
Yeah,
or we don't really have boundaries for ourselves. Because if we had all of that, we wouldn't put up with the bullshit that we put up with. Or if we listen to our mothers or listen to our parents, I wouldn't have went through half of the stuff that I went through if I would have
but now it's a lot of kids
listened.
having kids though. Like some mothers are actually the bad example.
Yeah, well, I was using that for myself, but yes, that's true too. Yes.
Some people got like mothers that are like close in age with them.
Yeah.
So like they're not. Imagine their mothers are going out on Friday shaking ass, and the kid
Yeah.
sees that, and the
Right,
kid
right,
gonna do the
right.
same exact
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. And
You know.
that's what you see a lot nowadays.
Yeah, I think that should like that needs to change in our community
It
if
does
people
need to
want to
change.
build families and
It does need to change.
because family
And
is wealth.
it is. And I agree with the term of it takes a village to raise a kid too. Also, I know that I'm a good role model and I can help with a lot of these kids,
Right.
to be honest. Like discipline wise, nurturing, anything. Um, a lot of parents feel guilty and or embarrassed and they don't want to accept or take any help.
Mm.
That's another thing that's a problem.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
because we could help each other. There's a lot of black women. We could come together.
Somebody say, "Don't touch my kid, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
touch my kid, it's a
Right,
wrap."
yep. So if I see the kid doing something and I say something, now the parent, oh, what they doing? And it's like
Yeah,
I got it.
I'm
I'll take care
African,
of
so
it.
I'm used to like it takes a village to raise a
Yeah,
kid
yeah,
because at some point, like we used to go somewhere and then you try to do something, and the other parent say, "What?" And then you would just look at them and be like, "Oh," you would just be scared.
hmm
You're not gonna do what you was gonna do
right.
because you think about it like if I disrespect them, my father will know, my mother will know. Now I'm in big trouble.
Yes.
But yeah, man, you're right. You're right. But last message though, like there's a lot of women struggling to raise kids, their kids, and
hmm
they're single mothers.
hmm
And you are a single mother yourself, but what message do you have for them?
So I do have a message. I actually wrote it down, so I'm gonna read it.
All right.
So to every single mother out there, you are doing enough. Even when you feel like you're not, you are. It's okay to cry and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not have it all together. What matters the most is your love and effort, and your child feels that. And if they don't, even if they don't always say it, there's strength in your softness and power and your presence and beauty in your story, even the hard parts. So, for all single mothers, you do not have to be perfect. You just have to be present and keep going and growing. You got this.
Amen. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure sitting down talking to you. Happy Mother's Day to
Thank
all
you.
beautiful
Yep.
and
Happy
strong
Mother's
mothers out
Day.
there. Yeah, keep going, man. Y'all got this. You guys, the mothers are like the backbone of this world. So like without the mothers, a lot of kids would be hungry
hmm
coming back home
Keep it together.
and
Let's stay
exactly.
together.
Yo, shout out to you. But yeah, man, like I said, keep liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. The more you do that, the more guests I'll continue to bring on, the more wonderful conversation we're gonna continue to have, and a lot of different stories. We all have stories in our lifetime, so that's something to bring to the table. But appreciate it and peace. You have a blessed night.